车有啊，你无讲，我无会讲，我有说咯，ayer ditangile H,我无你啥。
Yo te invito a caminar en los solares de La Habana para que tú mismo lo veas que cada cual aquí nace con su tumbado mío despacito y de medio lado. Tú vales suave y no te magites, si la noche es larga y la rumba se ha formado.
Muévete sin un control, pa' que nadie te lo cuente. Ahora y olvídate de lo demás, pa' que veas que el corazón te late diferente. Yo vengo a la manera que tú quieres que yo venga. Ando sin freno por la carretera y ahora que levante la mano la gente que son de primera. Lo que me descarga a la hora buena es lo que dice mi coro. A la manera que tú quieres, la manera que tú quieres que yo venga. Por la carretera, todo el mundo. Para que levante la mano la gente que son de primera. Lo que me descarga a la hora buena. Mira, no me importa nada. Quién está allá al lado, quién está allá al frente. A mí me importa mi gente. No era caliente. No me importa. Quién está allá al lado.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera, and we are back at it with the live discussions with Diamond podcast. And what video you just saw was an amazing recap from last year's Cozumel Casino and Salsa Fest. And everyone, today we're just going to get right ahead and start. We have here representing the San Diego area, the one and only Celso Orozco.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, man. Celso, first of all, it's a pleasure again talking. We've talked for many months. You know, we haven't seen each other physically, but virtually again. I want to tell you, first of all, thank you for coming. Thank you for your contribution to the dance world from the West Coast to the East and abroad. And again, just thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much for the invite. Well, I don't know what to say. That's a great intro. Undeserved. Just thank you so much for your interest, and I hope we can have a nice chat. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, as we've talked as well, realizing not just only an organizer, but also a performer. And that's something that captivated me because a lot of organizers that I have met, they've been involved in the dance scene, but not many who are actual performers. And actually seeing a person like yourself, not just only owning various events throughout the world, but also partnering with other people and just seeing really your focus on bettering the dance community, helping bring memorable events to the dance world is special. But realizing, you know, I feel like you have a really major influence on the West Coast, but also in Mexico. And really that's also where kind of your start has come. So, you know, Celso, I would love to know, you know, who is Celso before Speranza, before all of these festivals you've created? Who is Celso Orozco?
Well, I believe that I got into the dancing mostly by an accident. To be honest, my whole life was into the sports, you know, into the sports world, that athlete, and being an athlete since a young age was like my goal. What's what I like to do? What's what I wanted to do? There were many times that I just thought breakfast, lunch, dinner, like soccer or any sport, you know. I thought really through my whole life that was gonna be my whole, you know, direction. There's where I was gonna relate my professional life. Although, you know, being from Mexico, you realize at a young age that you might love soccer, but there's another million kids, you know, wanting the same thing, and you're not that good. So it was a realization, but still, you know, I tried to kept it going. I started playing tennis, you know, at still, I believe, like semi young age, and I got to maybe reach some nice levels. You know, like I enjoyed what I was like what I was doing there, but also when maybe the time came, I believe it was, you know, I was not built for it. You know, being an
Mhm.
athlete takes many responsibilities, and at the end of the day, I was definitely not fit for that. One of my, you know, just having fun moments was when I used to go to, you know, parties, just
Yeah.
dance and just enjoy myself. And I believe it was my 18th birthday. My
Mhm.
parents gave me a 1 month class pass to Alma Latina in Tijuana.
What?
So I decided to go. I liked it. I met a couple of people that I started, you know, engaging with. I started dating one of the dancers, which it was Alejandra Quintero.
Mhm.
And I believe that it all started there when it comes to dance. But I don't. It was actually I was 19, I believe, not
Yeah.
18, and it was really more an accident and something that I started enjoying. Never thought about this being a professional or so. Actually, the total opposite. When I started professional, a lot of problems came. You know how sometimes
Oh,
the scene gets, but
oh
other
yes.
than that, I believe that dance just kind of like took me in. But it was definitely, I'm gonna call it a nice accident.
Hey, that's interesting. And for me as well, you just said your first experience was really with Ama Latina. Many who don't know, in my opinion, it was one of the most legendary groups in Mexico that crossed over into the States. And for me, brought something refreshing, something new. And like we've seen since Alma Latina, so many groups have come from that. Uh, but also, just especially for me, Mexico really has been one of my favorite dancing cities. Realizing, for one thing, is this, and I tell people this: the Mexican community, in terms of dancing, is some of the hardest working dancers I've seen in years. In terms of like the well-roundedness and focusing not just on the style of salsa or bachata, but you know, you got to learn ballet, you got to learn Afro-Cuban, you got to learn many different styles. So a question I have for you: what was that actual first class like? You know, being in a studio like that, you being fresh, what was those moments like for you? Was it kind of like shocking? Was it kind of a culture shock, or was it kind of an easy transition?
Um, I feel that fortunately or unfortunately, I came in already knowing who Alma Latina was or what they were. So
Mhm,
there was a little bit of a predisposition in my head. What was I going against to?
mhm,
Mainly because, you know, back in the day, dance honestly wasn't that big. Dance honestly was not like something that, you know, everyone might know. So if you talked about salsa, as you said, Alma Latina became and grew big to be in that city. So maybe I already had some acquaintances that used to either go to the
mhm.
studio or
Yeah.
just kind of know about it. My own sister, I believe, she used to take classes, my little sister, when she was like, I don't know, 10 in there.
Mhm,
So I went already knowing who they were. I believe that Alma
mhm,
Latina that December won their their first championship or something like that, and
mhm.
it was an open house. It was super cold. I remember, like in TJ, cold. It can get cold too. But I like just the environment that people wanting to do something, of people wanting to learn
Yeah.
something. I feel like that is exactly what happens in the athlete world. But just in the athlete world, every single minute and second, it's a competition. When it comes to dance, you can make it a
Yeah.
competition, or you can make it just an enjoyable hobby. You know, at the
Yes.
moment, I was just looking for something to distract myself from all those years of, you know, just practicing 6 days a week for 6 hours every day. Like it was just something different. I like that it was more like an adulthood, you know,
Yes.
environment. It was very nice. I think like with everyone, that those first classes are the ones that you fell in love. And with like all freedom, I like to say that there were actually Sergio, Hasso, and
Mhm.
Alejandra, the one that they were teaching that class, and me maybe understanding a little bit what the basics were.
Yeah.
It wasn't that complicated. So usually when you like something and it's not that hard,
Yeah.
uh, you know, you start engaging, and that's what happened to me, I believe.
Man, so then you, like you said, you had that month pass. And so kind of going from there, what was that immediate the transition of, I want to perform, I want to keep learning? or
I
what
was
did you really?
broke. I was broke. There was no way I could keep up with a monthly fee. And I remember, I don't know how it got that before that month ended. Gabby asked me, "Hey, like you, like whatever your name is, can you help like cover a class?" And
Mm,
I was like, "What? Like what?" Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, it's people that they never danced before, and the instructor just couldn't make it or something like that.
Mhm.
Do you think you can? Like, I feel it was just the moment, that
Yeah.
just I see you can do the basics. Can you tell them? And I was not gonna be alone. There was gonna be like another dancer, but
Yeah.
maybe it was the way that I could communicate, just with someone else. And I was sure, why not? Once that happened, the talk was, you know what? I don't. I mean, maybe you did really bad, but you did it. Do you want to maybe be here like a backup in case someone misses classes or so? You just need to keep learning. She told me all that, and I was like, you know what? That's great. And she was the one telling me right away that it was just like a little exchange. You help here in what's needed, and you'll take classes for free. And
Mhm.
it was a fair exchange for me at the moment,
Yeah.
and that's how I believe I had to enroll. It didn't last much. I didn't last more than 45, 60 more days.
Mhm.
I know this is not the drama podcast, but I believe that I started dating a dancer from their
Mhm.
pro team, which is Alejandra. And well, at the moment things didn't settle well on that end,
Mhm.
and I believe that we end up getting like leaving the company.
Mhm.
And I believe that from there I realized, understanding a little bit how the scene was, in regards
Yeah.
that it was a very heavy competitive scene in many aspects of it.
Mhm.
But also grew a little bit of an intention of me of doing something, because I just knew in that, like, those days, that it's something that I really liked, and
Mhm.
maybe I wasn't as bad as people used to tell me, so I could at least give it a chance. So my
Mm.
history just right away transitioned to the United States. I never came back to Mexico after that.
Oh my God. And it's interesting what you said about that experience of people more putting you down. And me doing this as long as I have, whether it's been performing, work with organizers, videoing, everything, I've learned and I've seen that same experience. And it's really more of a tactic of actually breaking you down
Yeah,
to then make someone believe that everything you're saying is truth and that without them, you won't succeed.
I
And
exactly from an environment that broke me, which is the athleticism one, the
Mhm.
athletes.
Yes.
I believe that there's a real competition. In dance,
Mhm.
with all due respect, it's a joke. The competition that we have in dance when it comes to the worldwide, sports world,
Mhm.
which is literally blood tears on those moments. And I didn't want this to be another chapter where I allowed, something like that, go get me or get gotten over me.
Yeah.
I let the sport win in that sense. Psychologically, I felt maybe strong enough at the moment to maybe fight a little bit for what
Yeah.
I felt it was fair. Because most importantly, I didn't feel I was doing anything wrong.
Mhm.
Just even with all the mistakes that a teenager can make,
Yeah.
always try to remain, on the right line. But things happen, and I agree, it's a way maybe to breaking up people. And I understand that this is a little bit of a shark's world, and
Mhm.
there's the resilient ones, and there's the one that unfortunately gonna end up being eaten.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, like you said, you moved on from that and you never really kind of looked back. So was that then the creation of Speranza or
Oh no,
even
that was no, that was like still like 10 years before that. No,
oh my God.
no, I understood one thing.
Mhm.
I was a very bad dancer. Like, I had no knowledge behind me under my belt. There was only
Mhm.
months, of taking classes. I never got into not even a real congress or anything, to be honest, yet.
Yeah.
It was just more like personal, I believe, issues. But as soon as I moved to San Diego, we
Yeah.
try to be for some months with Majesty in Motion.
Yes.
um I mean, that worked as good as it had to. It was just like a stepping stone, just
Mhm.
whatever the next was. I believe that we experienced, or at least I experienced, my first events, as a congress, as a festival,
Hmm.
actually with Majesty. And in the very first or second congress, Osmar Perrones from Yamule extended an invitation to go to New York. So technically, my whole dance career technique training was based for some time, a short period in New York.
Mm.
I just moved there, like sold pretty much everything what we had so we could. Osmar was, always the person who not just invited, but always try to extend a hand, just
Yes.
to, like, understanding that his interest wasn't a dancer, but also poor people, trying to make it in the dance scene, which it was sometimes rough, and I'm sure he got a lot of those. I have nothing but I'm just grateful for that. But it didn't work out. It just didn't work out because I believe the culture where we were accustomed, the lifestyle in New York, family health issues
Mhm.
had us go back. There was no
Yeah.
way I could have created a life in New York City. So when we came back to San Diego, I believe that we just established ourselves with what we call Forteza Dance Company.
Hmm.
At the moment, we never wanted a company, and I said we because it was still with my partner at the time,
Yeah.
with her, and we never really wanted a company. It was more like an invitation of an organizer of the Congress here in San Diego.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at the end is like it's convenient for me because if company you have students we bring to the Congress, and there was that back dual support, but it worked out. It really worked out. People started
Hmm.
liking the situation, and from there is where our dance history started taking off. I believe that as a couple we started traveling around many places. Albert Torres was our
Yes.
playing manager at a time, uh,
Wow.
for maybe like 3 years or so. We went over where everywhere I believe it was possible for us. And yeah, I believe that after that, things took their course, and I started, taking my own way apart from Alejandra. Uh,
Hmm.
and as a maybe joint decision, Forteza, kind of like got like eradicated. And
Hmm.
just from there, 6 months later, Esperanza was created. But because Esperanza has no more than 4 or 5 years, also.
Mm. And but just also seeing kind of your journey with that. But a question I have for you is going from taking your first classes to then creating partnerships and actually performing now, what was that actual first show like for you? Being on a stage, whether it's a congress or a social, what have you, what was your actual experience having your first
It
performance?
was ignorance. I believe that none of my first journey I was understanding what I understand now, or what we all understand now. Like, my first team to go on a congress and represent, it was Majesty's professional team. I was
Yeah.
just an improvised dancer. To be honest, I got there and I just had the physical ability of learning a routine and executing it just as if I knew that I was dancing salsa on two, salsa on one. Definitely
Hmm.
full of ignorance. I didn't understand the concept, the musicality, the technique. When I went to a congress, even when Osmar, extended that invitation, yeah, I mean, Yamule sounds like the best, but it was full of ignorance on my end. I didn't really know what
Hmm.
was going against, and I, I feel I was just very lucky, in every single.
Hmm.
If things would have not lined up the way they did, I would have not been here because I don't feel that my talent deserved what I got at the time.
Mm. And many people would say you're being modest, but at the same accord, that's also your experience. Because when you realize in the dance world, of course, we like to have fun, but
Right,
in reality, a lot of things is based on competition, on
right,
who can perform the best, who can get the most gigs, who can travel
right.
the most places. And many people will agree or not, but I've seen that world. I can see the cutthroatness, but at the same accord, trying to balance it with a genuine community is sometimes an issue. But now, really, my question to you is coming from your first classes, then performing, of course, taking your talents to San Diego and working from there. What was the transition like for you actually becoming an organizer?
Um, I believe that another accident. um, when I was still being a dancer, our first decisive encounter with like managing stuff was Albert Torres, right? So
Yeah.
at a time he was involved with around like 30 congresses per year, and
Hmm.
he was, I believe, extremely busy
Oh
in
yeah.
aspects of his organizational personal life. So he started asking me as his right hand. They fell off. They kind of cut it off. They He asked me if I wanted to maybe help him out with his events,
Yeah.
which it was at a moment, LA Salsa Congress and World Latin Dance Cup. And I mean, I said, sure. Like, what can I do for you? What do you need?
Yeah.
Like basic stuff. I thought he was just gonna put me, behind the stage, to
Yeah.
go back. But it was a whole organizational part, like literally the job of the organizer, since talking to some artists, to some designs, to some creating schedules, workshops, tech rehearsal, all that. He started technically just delegating it to me. Not It was not much helping. It was just, okay, you do it.
I mean, it was kind of shaping you or molding you into really the person you become because
Right,
going
right,
from the beginnings and you now being a part of dozens of events. I
totally.
mean, that says something because again, not everyone can do it. People can say, "Oh my god, it'd be so much fun." Yes. But we also don't realize the toll it takes, the time it takes away, the stress level that can happen because I tell many people, people don't understand. It's easy for 100 people to understand one person
Yeah,
than one person trying to understand 100 people.
impossible.
And it's interesting because we also talk privately, realizing that the difference between you and many other organizers that I have met or talked to, you were actually a performer at one point. You were behind the scenes, whether it's backstage, you knew these artists. So my question to you is going into that organizer role, whether intentional or not, coming into actually being a part of events now, did it feel different from, hey, you were once the person on stage, now you're the one in the hiring process, or you're working with artists more closely and trying to balance bringing people, financing a budget and everything like that? Was it easy or did it kind of have some bumps along the way?
um I feel like what you mentioned right now of the shaping, it was it was a full process. I mean, I went
Mhm.
to university and I studied 2 careers, and although even that I didn't graduate from both,
It's
uh,
okay.
like one of them was international business. So when it comes to the
Mm,
administration part and stuff, even being in the career, it was like something that I could understand because my parents have been for the last 40 years in commerce. When it comes to that, their commerce is event production too. Like maybe a lot of people don't know it, but I'm not a product, of just something that I was created right now.
yeah,
Like my parents have I've been working with them since I was 10 years old. Sometimes it's a need, sometimes it's just, having not don't having someone where to leave your child, and I needed to be at their job,
yeah,
so I was, always in charge of, the cashier box, so always counting money, always related to money, always organizing during the weekends, always having to go to events. So it was my environment. And then when the Albert situation came, I believe
yeah,
that also came based on that because it was something that I did throughout my life. Being very not humble, I'm a result of all these people and all this work that I did prior. Even that I was being in the athlete world or stuff, the other
yeah,
part working, since you're a kid, you have to work when the money is not like pumping up. So the transition, it was not difficult because most importantly, I, I'm still a dancer. I'm a performer. I'm
hmm,
hired to events to go as a, I mean, I don't love the word artist, but as an invited guest. So ultimately, I just work with my friends. All the people that I hired, all the DJs, is people that I get along with. Is people that are
mm,
my inner circle that either I met when I started dancing, and maybe I respect a lot, or
Yes.
people that were at my same level, or new people that started after me. And each one of those stages and generations, I have a tremendous respect for them. But
Hmm.
I try to treat them and respect them as what they are. It will be very hypocrite from my end try to go against the promoter and ask to be treated a certain way. But when I have my,
Yeah.
I don't do the same on the other side. So it's been definitely a work in process. So no, not difficult at all. Total opposite. The difficult part is make them understand that every time you come to maybe my events, the whole the whole dynamic is going to be different, like the whole situation is different. That's why I never have I'm never scared of people telling them just go and talk to anyone that has worked with me, like they can give you the best opinion more than what I can give you. I can
Hmm.
just tell you it's another job. Like people are
Hmm.
dentists, people are like molars, some other ones are
Yeah.
I just do events and dance. This is the same exact thing.
And what's also interesting is what you said earlier in our conversation is that you took your talents really from Tijuana going to San Diego. And if people don't know, San Diego is very close to Mexico,
Yeah.
San Ysidro area. You just cross over. I've been there. But what's also interesting, you realize in your journey, because through Facebook, you just see tons of videos and visuals of events you've done in the past. And then now realizing you kind of brought your talents or you brought your success back to Mexico, where you've done events like the Cozumel Casino and Salsa Fest, the event you just did with the in Tijuana.
You're
So my question to you is now, what was that feeling like of, you had left Mexico and now coming back and giving back to the community?
right. You know, I don't know, like I believe that every single Latino country is different in their culture, right? But at the same time, we're a lot.
Mhm,
Once you're a person that leaves, um, you're not seen like the person who's trying to go and look for an opportunity to become
mhm,
someone. You're seen like the person that just left, like, and maybe not a trick,
mhm,
but someone that is we're not enough, you just leave.
mhm,
So when you come back, people don't have the arms wide open for you, like more when
mhm,
you come back after you try to create something. And I believe since day one, that's why I try to start the Tijuana festival way, way, way too early. And one of them first times that I got up on the stage, I told them, if I'm leaving, it's because everyone knows that the opportunities are not here. Like
mhm.
that's something that we all can agree. Like you guys can't deny that to me. But I'm not leaving to create something somewhere else. I'm leaving to become someone and
Yeah.
then something to my community. And ultimately, I feel that now people believe me. Right now, people understand that and support it. But it was not like that in the beginning.
Yeah.
was it was a very difficult journey, even to understand that, which I don't blame them. Maybe if I was part of that community and living there, I would have thought the same. But it cost me maybe some years to prove it, and now maybe we've done it, but it was not like a welcoming situation in the very beginning.
Mhm,
And every single country that I might work or city that I work again is the same thing. They believe that I'm just there to maybe take something even from not being from there. But I understand that from the beginning. But every single city where I've started, I've never have closed an event. I've never
mhm,
gone kicked out of a city or anything because they see what we're trying to do. They see the effort, they see the maybe the quality that we're trying to put in and invest. So it's just matter of time. It's not about judging the people, it's just about working for them. And
mhm.
I feel that if it's not your city, you need to prove it. You need to prove to them that you're there for them. And I believe that is just a lot of work, but you ultimately there's a lot of big rewards.
Absolutely. And, of course, you started out, I believe you started out in salsa. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's well. I believe that both simultaneously. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never one than the other one, but if you ask my personal choice, salsa.
Gotcha. So then, of course, you being a part of many events, whether you own or you partner with them, and really now understanding in 2022, going forward, for you, are you more focused on doing salsa and bachata events or bachata? Like, do you kind of gauge the environment of what's really heavy or trending, or you kind of go on your own accord?
No, I feel that market research is always something very important. So,
Hmm.
um, in every city, they're listening to salsa, bachata, and kizomba, but not equally.
Hmm.
Is balanced. So, I believe that before joining any city, you need to take a lot of things in consideration, since
Hmm.
you know, social aspect, the financial aspect, and the musicality, and dance wise, the culture aspect. You know, what do they like? If I give you the example of Tijuana, it would be maybe a wrong one, because Tijuana has been a scene that was built from scratch. You know, it was built
Hmm.
from zero in that sense, where there was some salsa and bachata, but right now we have a full salsa and bachata event, a full bachata event, and a full on kizomba event, and that happens when you grow the scene. So I might say each city has its own, go to, and that's what we try to create. You mentioned the Cozumel one. Well, Cozumel is an island in the Mexican side of the Caribbean that the Cuban, roots, it's
Hmm.
heavy in that area. So that's why we're trying to create a salsa and casino event, which is given, maybe the regular salsa. They dance a lot of salsa on one down there.
Hmm.
Uh, but give them all the casino for all the timbal, the rueda, all that part that the Cuban, part in popular
Yeah.
like. But also, we try not to leave out a bachata room. So in every event, also we try to make them understand that this is what you like, and we're gonna help
Yeah.
push it. But also understand that in the small room, it's a community in progress. That there's the
Mm.
there's the Kizomba people that want to grow. So in each one of them, we give for the people, but we also give for the.
Oh, I mean, I love that. I love hearing that because it really shows you're about your community. And what I really and before we get into our last section called the randoms, for me, really one of the last questions I have for you is, and I do ask people this all the time, since you've been around, and many of us, a lot of people, I feel like 2015, 2016 was like a pivotal year for a lot of dancers getting in the scene, whether it's salsa, bachata, what have you. But from your experience, have you seen, or when they ask the question of is bachata taking over, do you feel that's even a question? Is that something worth even entertaining?
um I believe that it depends who you ask and where you ask it. If right now maybe you're in some cities, maybe old cities in Spain, they might tell you, oh, maybe Zouk is taking over. Maybe bachata already has and has been there. I feel that once again that every country and city has its own culture, but also we need to be realistic as a general speaking terms. We're like that bachata for maybe many reasons that are not just musicality. Remember, this is the kind of music for dancers. So dancers
Hmm.
are the one that either make it popular or not. The listeners, the ones that does the Spotify plays, the ones that the DJs, all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
is having a great and huge impact in ourselves. But also you go to other cities, maybe in Portugal, and they say no, kizomba is what right now is taking over. So it's a fair question to ask, but definitely I believe that it depends who you talk to. But if you get my general answer, bachata's taking over.
Hey, I appreciate your honesty, but now I think it helps us lead into our last segment called the randoms, which is about 5 to 10 questions I have here that may deal with dance, that may deal with life, and everything in between. So, our first question, and I'd love to hear your answer on this, is if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
um I would like to have the possibility of seeing ahead in the future for at least 10 days.
Hey, I mean, I think you get a lot done. You know what's happening, you know what to do. So I definitely appreciate that. I love that answer. All right, next one here is if you could have one last meal right now, what would it be?
Okay. So, first of all, I need to state that I don't eat meat, like
Perfect.
because of my diet. health wise, it's nothing that I mean, yes, of course, pro animals, but they're also really good, delicious. So
Yeah.
my last one, and thinking that tomorrow I won't get sick, it'll definitely have to be some adobada tacos for sure.
Ah, hey, I definitely don't blame you. I love me some tacos. Our next question here, I've asked many artists this because I realize a lot of the artists we love or we know, a lot of them aren't truly extroverted. A lot of them are more introverted. So I love asking this question for you. Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Super introvert, like super,
Wow.
like I believe that in the past I could make it work with alcohol to help,
Yeah.
but I haven't drank since the last 4 years. So
Mhm.
introvert 100%. Me and my anxiety are always here.
I love it. I love it. All right, this one here, understanding with COVID, it's definitely affected our dance community as a whole. I've been having a lot of conversations with people, especially I would say since COVID, really into this year, especially. I feel like our community as a whole is a lot different. And the same dancers we saw pre 2020 probably are not around as much or have moved on. And it's really a new generation. So, my question to you is since COVID, has the quality of social dancing evolved or decreased?
Hmm. I don't believe at any moment that it has increased. Um,
Mhm,
I don't believe the quality is always gonna be based on quantity, and maybe
mhm.
quantity the community has been affected. I don't want to say, or I feel too soon to say that they gave up or they're gone. I feel we're going through a transitional part in our own community. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that it has evolved, and if I can give an explanation to or a reason to my
Yeah,
answer,
absolutely.
I would elaborate in that I've seen that dancers, whenever they have come back, at least in those first socials after COVID, the way of enjoying, the way of expecting, after a year, 2 years of being isolated and just marinating the thought that I want to go there, I want to make it. I feel that has made us a lot better people, better dancers, and I believe that's a great combination to have an evolved social dancing experience.
Absolutely. I definitely love that answer. All right, here, I have a next question here. I call it a spicy question because the answers are endless. All right. What is a big pet peeve of yours, Celso, on the dance floor? We're talking is hygiene, is connection. Like, what for you is like, I really don't want to continue this dance? What's something that really would tick you off?
Um, are we live?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we are.
uh, I like dancing with everyone.
hey, hey, you can definitely answer it that way. It's okay. Trust me. I mean, everyone has. If a person's not, you have a 5 minute song and no one's even looking you in the eyes. I think for
Right.
me to
No,
give that
but
example.
I've always gotten this that when I'm dancing with someone, a lot of people maybe ladies have not enjoyed themselves because they're like, "Are you being mad?" Because I have such a huge RBF face that is
Oh my god.
never on purpose. If I have one, maybe the being drenched on sweat is not my favorite. Like
You could feel it.
not always easy to control it, but sometimes there are ways. But other than that, I like dancing with everyone.
Hey, I love it. All right, this one should be easy too. So, if you're at one of your favorite festivals, you can be biased, you can say yours, and it was the last song of the night, and you can take one follow. Who is it?
Oh, oh wow. Well, now that is harder one because most of my friends are dancers, and I don't want no one to say, "Well, it wasn't me." You know what? I think I'm gonna say Jesus. Why? Like,
Hey, I mean, it's okay to get you on the spot sometimes. I want to just trust me. I hope. Disclaimer, please, everyone, do not be upset if
I'm
Celso gives.
I'm gonna say Carol. I
Ooh, Carol Flores, am I correct?
able to dance with her much, but in my beginnings, my first socials were with Carol, which apologies for whatever let she got. But I understood many things, dancing with her as maybe not what I like from the social dancing part, but what I don't like. I think that as long as you mature, you understand that you might like some things different and you're like adjusting. But there's some basic things in social dance that you should like adjust what you don't like, the
Mm-hmm.
basics. So I understood a lot of the dancing part, dancing with her, even with my lack of
Yeah.
experience and all that.
Hey, I love that. Definitely big shout out to Carol. All right, this question should be interesting. So if you aren't dancing, you are doing blank.
um I'll be just betting. I do sports betting, so just sports betting.
Okay, so if you're talking about sports betting, what's your sport? I mean, is it soccer or do you have any other sports that you're really interested in?
No, well, we have like an actual like team. Me personally, I'm in charge of studying every day, like the soccer part and also tennis. But
Mm,
depends on seasonal because a lot of them sports are seasonal, so we have our own experts, and it's not like you just study like one sport. A lot of your previous job is statistical, so it's just mainly studying the numbers, and whenever
mhm.
sport or delegating what part you're going to be studying, if it's maybe the time, maybe the weather, maybe the goals, maybe the percentages, the
Yeah.
soccer. There's a lot of things that come into place whenever you want to place a bet. So I'm gonna say the general answer would be soccer and tennis and basketball.
All right, perfect. All right, this one should be very interesting. Can you give me a fun fact about you?
I have facts. I don't know how fun are they though. I I damn it, I should have gotten these questions prior. I I'm a very like I en- I enjoy so much my me time that it doesn't matter like who it is or so. Like if I want that time just for me and enjoy myself, and it can be anyone around, like you guys ruin it forever. I'm such an I'm such a lonely person at some moments that
Mhm.
create almost only when I'm by myself, if that makes sense. My
Yeah.
like creative part, and you can call it in anything, for congresses, for dance, for anything, it usually comes when I'm alone. So
Mm,
all the time, when it's like this social part and stuff that people usually help them, grow into, for me is a total opposite. Like I enjoy my me time, and it's like that I know how fun that is supposed to be, but when it comes to that, like sometimes I just need to disconnect from the world. Like I leave all
yeah.
stuff and I just go for a run like crazy. Like it's sometimes great for me to disappear from the spotlight of the world like for 5 minutes.
Absolutely. I know many people that do that. All right. Our second to last question. Of course, you talked about tennis quite a bit. I'm also a fan of tennis. So who is your favorite tennis player?
Roger Federer,
Oh, okay.
no doubt.
No, Andre Agassi. Okay.
No, there's many reasons to that.
Mhm.
But the thing is that like in every single sport, within the time is coming, the technology is coming, like there's a revolution, like whatever players were in the 1950s or 60s, if they go against the current ones, let's understand that the current ones in almost any sport, they're better
Mhm.
athletes. They have like better nutrition, they have better understanding, better knowledge. Like they really are like even stronger people in regards to maybe not boxing, but in
Mhm.
soccer, the best players in the world were not as fit as whatever a Cristiano Ronaldo is
Yeah.
nowadays. Like they have so much more tools to become better athletes as humans. So in that sense, Roger came or started in the past generation, and
Yes.
the one that when he was coming out, like he got this little transitions of players, and he really got us an outcome of being the best of
Mhm.
both times. You know,
Yes.
he played against Agassi, he played against Sampras, he played against Nadal or so. And I understand that these players, Djokovic, Nadal, they're maybe like
Yep.
superhumans, but let's understand that Roger beat both generations in just like
Yes.
strokes. So that is something very hard to just accomplish.
Absolutely. I definitely love that. I mean, I've gotten more into tennis and the history of it, even from the 80s and 70s. So I definitely see where you're going with that. But now it leads us to our last question. And I love asking this because I feel it's way more introspective. So, Celso, when you are maybe in a new phase in your life, how would you like to be remembered?
Uh, um, I don't know if the one that wants to be remembered. I just understand that someone told me something like,
Yeah.
all when you're gone, and when all the people that met you is gone, like literally you're gonna be nothing, you know, like no one is ever gonna remember you. Like that remembering part is just as long as the people that met you are alive. And
Mhm.
I understood that I would like to create something that is more like long lasting than that.
Yes.
I like that maybe my projects are remembered, you know, like that my projects are the one that carry on with small legacy. And if in there my name is, you know, like written in small letters in the button, that is great. But if not, it doesn't matter, because even if people remember me, there's an expiration date for that. And I understand that, for example, in dancing, I feel like salsa and bachata are gonna last more than myself. So I would like that my projects are better well remembered. Those.
Absolutely. I mean, again, your contribution, whether it's performing or creating events that people go to, hey, that right there should definitely be remembered. And I thank you again for doing this segment. I always love doing it at the end. But now it helps us transition to the closing of our talk tonight. And again, from start to finish, I've appreciated everything you said, from your honesty and transparency about your journey from the start to present day, and everything you're doing. But before we do go, I'd love to know if you had any last few words for myself and the audience, but also maybe some contact information on how people can find out about you, maybe your events coming up, or even Speranza.
Well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Celso Orozco. You can find my events that are coming up very soon. I don't want to make this a commercial way, but
It's okay. This is the time.
we're with the San Diego Salsa and Bachata Congress in May. Following that one up, we're gonna be having the Costa Rica Salsa and Bachata Weekender,
Mm.
the Cozumel Salsa Casino and Salsa Festival, and then we have back-to-back 2 weekends in November, the Tijuana Salsa Bachata Festival. And then if you want to stay for 4 more days at the hotel, the next weekend is the Tijuana Kizomba Festival, 100% Kizomba Zouk and Urban. Um, there's many other events that we actually are hosting. We're gonna have now for the first time in a border in a festival, Daniel Santa Cruz, last
Mm.
year. And I don't know, we're really excited for all the projects that we're doing. Um, just feel free to reach any of our pages, and I'm sure that we're gonna be able to like get in touch. Sometimes I take a minute to reply my messages. I'm always checking every Friday morning. I check my messages, and so thank you so much again for having me. It was fun. It was really nice. I usually, you know, these chats always leave you with a little bug of talking for hours. But
Yeah,
thank you so much for thinking of me and
absolutely.
patience. And I really hope to take some other time to make part two.
Oh, absolutely. Trust me. We'd here love to have you again on, whether it's virtually or even physically, coming to you and checking up to see what's new with Speranza, with yourself, and all the events you have. But again, Celso, I really appreciate your time and effort. I know you're a busy man, and everyone that's tuned in, that will be tuning in. This has been another special episode of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast, here with the one and only Celso Orozco, representing the San Diego area. Everyone, check this man out. We'll be posting more footage and videos and content from him, from his events throughout the weeks. Everyone, take care, stay